Hi, all you gems out there. Welcome to Elevenses with Lisa. I am Lisa Louise Cooke. Hey, did you like my lipstick on the cup in the picture for this episode? It's real life here. It's just real life here. Do I have it in my teeth? No, hopefully not. All right, well, we have a lot to do here. I am so glad you're here. You know, one of the many things that we have in common is a connection, probably at some point, to Pennsylvania. It might be that some branch of your family tree extends back to the early founding of the Pennsylvania colony, or it might be that, one of your ancestors, one of the hundreds of thousands of people who came through the port of Philadelphia. And, even if you don't have Pennsylvania ancestors, you're in the right place because the State Library of Pennsylvania has a lot to offer all genealogists. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a video of my interview with two librarians from the State Library of Pennsylvania. We're going to discuss the collections and specifically what's available on their website. And then after the interview, I'm going to be back because I want to share with you some specific search techniques that you can use over at the State Library website and a search trick that's really going to help you with any state library website. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're heading to Pennsylvania and the website of the State Library of Pennsylvania. And here to tell us more about what they have to offer you as the genealogist is the government documents librarian, Kathy Hale, and genealogy librarian, Amy Watovich. Hi, Kathy and Amy. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
Hello.
for having us.
And Amy, I have to check because surnames matter. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's pronounced Wojtowicz, but I've heard it many, many ways.
Well, welcome to the show. And I'm excited to talk to you because, so many family trees connect with Pennsylvania at some point. And so you guys have a tremendous collection there that you can make available to people to help them when they're ready to dig into the Pennsylvania records. So, Kathy, I'd love to have you just kind of give us a brief overview of overall, what does the State Library of Pennsylvania have in its collections?
Well, I have a theory about the people doing their genealogy, that everyone has come through Pennsylvania at least once. There's footprints from places in New England over to Ohio, going to the south. So many people put their footprints at the state of Pennsylvania, as the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The State Library has been in existence since 1745, and we hardly throw anything away. So we are like a little Library of Congress for the state of Pennsylvania. But Amy is our new genealogy librarian, so I'm going to let her tell a little bit more about what we have available electronically.
Excellent.
Like Kathy said, we started in 1745 and we've been collecting ever since. So physically we have over 30,000 volumes, 100,000 reels of microfilm, and 1 million pieces of microfiche. But we also have things that we've digitized and made available, that like county and family histories, local histories, small church histories from rural areas of Pennsylvania. We have city directories and passenger lists, regimental histories. Our regimental histories cover from the Revolution to the Spanish-American War. And we have pension lists available. And we also have the Pennsylvania Published Archives that have been digitized. They're a collection of military government records and like marriage records and immigration records from early Pennsylvania times, like the colonial times. We're also a federal depository library, which Kathy can tell you more about what we have in those collections.
Okay, the State Library has been a federal depository. That means the government printing office deposits with libraries throughout the country different materials that the government publication office gets from agencies, the legislature, and judiciary. We have been one since 1858. We're one of the oldest ones in the country, so that we have a collection that spans from that time period to the present. So I usually tell people that we are a blending of the old and the new. So if you need U.S. Census records, the U.S. Census records from 1790, that was the first census that was taken, to 1940 have been released. There's a law, a U.S. law, that says that the individual names cannot be released until 72 years after the census has been taken. So the State Library has on microfilm the 1790 to 1930. The 1940 census was released only electronically. This is the first census only to be put out there electronically by the National Archives. So you can go to the State Library's website, which is, you can just Google State Library of Pennsylvania, and we're one of the first things that come up, and go to our research guides to talk about those materials. We also have Pennsylvania documents, so we've been collecting those ever since the State Library has been in existence. So one of the things that people might find when they come to the State Library, they may not be able to get everything right now, but eventually we will be able to get back into the building. So one of the things that I always thought was very interesting is that we have a report that was done for Pennsylvania of the 25th and 50th anniversaries of the battles of Gettysburg. So it had people who were at the Battle of Gettysburg and came back for the reunion. It also told you how much they ate and the sanitation and stuff like that. But it also gave a lot of names and some pictures of the materials. Also in our U.S. government documents is something called the serial set. That is something that are reports to the legislature from different agencies or institutions. One of the things that genealogists can use is the Daughters of the American Revolution every year had to give a report to Congress of the names that were approved by the Daughters of the American Revolution. So right now, you can go to many libraries and access those. You can access those through the federal government. If you need help, you can email the State Library. And I have to put a plug in for that email, is ra-reflib@pa.gov. Okay, Amy, take it away from here.
One of the things I wanted to mention about our website is many of the things that Kathy mentioned. We have our research guides in our public section of our website, and that it'll take you to links to the National Archives, all the government documents, reports, and things like that.
That's kind of like a finding aid. It's funny.
Yes.
I was just talking about this in a recent episode of Elevenses with Lisa, and that was a new concept to some of the researchers. I'd love to have you expand a little bit about how you, as a repository, create these so that people really can navigate your collections.
Well, we've separated them out by research area of interest. So there's some for vital records, there's some for Pennsylvania railroads and mines. We have cemetery records on there. We have a link to something called the Zemer Collection, which is a collection of cemetery records that a man named Jeremiah Zemer collected in the early 1900s. He went around to all of the cemeteries and recorded all of the information.
Only in Cumberland County.
Yeah, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, right.
Now, are these by chance available online? Because I'm thinking about people are optimistic that they're going to eventually get back into the building itself.
So are we.
Yes, exactly. And you said you've been, working virtually since March. Are the finding aids or the research guides online so maybe they could do some prep work right now?
They could use them for prep work. Like I said, they have links to places like the Civil War Soldiers and Sailors database and the National Archives, so they could go and look and see where they can find the information that they're looking for.
Excellent. Now, Amy, you mentioned, of course, there's the website, and I believe you guys have a dedicated genealogy page. Can you give us a few kind of hints and tips for the best way to navigate, and maybe what you think we just shouldn't miss if we make one visit to the website?
Well, you shouldn't miss the genealogy section of it. It's a very large website because it includes all of the Office of Commonwealth Libraries. At the top of the page, there's a section that there's 3 tabs, and you want to look at the tab that says For General Public. And that will, if you click on that, that will take you down to all of the genealogy resource guides. And we also have resource guides for other areas like law resources and government documents as well. But we have a separate section that you can click on that'll take you to all our genealogy resource guides.
And I noticed newspapers, and that always catches my eye. And I know it does the of other genealogists.
Right.
Can you give us a little more background on your newspaper collection?
Well, in normal times, we have a newspaper from every Pennsylvania counties, and there's 67 Pennsylvania counties on microfilm. Right now, we do have a lot of newspapers that have been digitized at our PA Photos and Documents collection. That's at the Power Library website. It's www.powerlibrary.org. There's a lot of older newspapers there that we've digitized. Kathy, did you want to add something?
If they go to the Power Library, they should be a Pennsylvanian in order to access these Pennsylvania documents and digital images. So they can go to that website that Amy talked about. On the right-hand side, they'll see PA digital docs and photos. They can go there and they can search over, I think it's like 65 different institutions have been putting their documents and photos into this repository since 1986. So it's not just the state library, but you might find things from Albright College, from Franklin and Marshall College. Many college yearbooks are available there, so you could just search for college yearbook, and every time that phrase comes up, a result would come up that they could look through various things. There's also different subject areas, and I believe genealogy is one of the subject areas on the PA Photos and Docs.
Did you say that you have to be a resident of Pennsylvania? And if by chance you're not, then is there a way to gain access?
Well, there's 2 sections to the Power Library. The electronic databases, you definitely do have to be a Pennsylvania resident. Kathy, did you want to speak about the digital documents?
The digital documents, you do not have to be a Pennsylvanian in order to access that material. But if you're going on to some of the other reference materials, you need to be a Pennsylvania resident with a library card in order to do that. But just the Pennsylvania digital documents, you do not need to be a Pennsylvanian to be able to access those things.
Great. So if you're outside of the state, then you might need to get in touch with a researcher that's local. We're talking about access, and of course there's certain things that are available online digitally now. But talk a little bit about interlibrary loan, because I think that's something that, again, people can do some planning for. And I'm interested to know, are you doing any kind of lookups or interlibrary loan now during the time when it's closed?
We are not open for interlibrary loans so far during the pandemic. In the beginning of the year, we may change that. But as of right now, because of the COVID restrictions in Pennsylvania, we have not sent staff to the physical area where the microfilm would be kept. Plus, many libraries throughout Pennsylvania are only open for curbside service and not have people be able to go in to use a machine that would be able to look at the microfilm. But if COVID wasn't happening, then the state library does lend its newspaper microfilm throughout the country. So you can be from California, Oregon, North Dakota, Florida, Texas, and ask us for the newspaper microfilm. What the person would do is go to their local public library go to their reference librarian or interlibrary loan area and ask us for the specific title. We will lend up to 5 reels of microfilm for one particular request. We do that because otherwise people would ask for 30 reels of film and nobody else would be able to look at it. So we do limit it to 5 reels per request. When they send back those 5 reels, we will send another 5 reels. So they can keep doing this until they get to the specific that they need. If they do know a specific, say they go into newspapers.com and it shows you the title and the date and the page that it's on, a person could go to their interlibrary loan department or reference librarian and they can ask us for just one article or just one page. If they know what it's on, then what we can do is we will go to the microfilm, we will scan the obituary or article that they're interested in, and then we can send that electronically through interlibrary loan once we're back up and running with interlibrary loan.
Wonderful. Now, can you request individual copies? Could just a paper copy or an email copy?
What we would do is we would scan the copy of the newspaper article and send that electronically.
Okay, so you were saying interlibrary loan, but it's something that they can just keep, right, when they receive it?
Absolutely, because
Perfect.
that's what they would have to send back the microfilm, but if we send them a scan, that is theirs to keep.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, I couldn't let you go without asking you about your favorite collections. And of course, for many of us, that's just about the one that really taps into our family history. But maybe there's one that just grabs your attention. Amy, do you have a favorite collection there?
Personally, I like to go to the digital documents at the old atlases, the historical atlases that have been digitized, because they have a lot of illustrations and artwork in them. They'll have drawings of how the town looked at the time. So it not only gives you a good reference, a historical reference of how the town was, but the artwork in some of them is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I can't agree more. I love old maps.
I
Oh my
know.
gosh.
I love to go through those.
Exactly. And Kathy, how about you?
Well, I'm really torn because I like everything.
Yeah.
But I am very partial to the map collection of the State Library. We have over 35,000 maps. One of the maps that was very instrumental for one researcher is we have a map of Gettysburg that shows the people that lived in the town in 1865. So you could see an actual person that lived there. We also had a young man that came. We have a collection called The 5 Generations from the Mayflower. And what that collection is they started with the first people who signed the Mayflower Compact and then went 5 generations into it. So we could trace back for this young gentleman from him in 2018 all the way back. He was related to some of the founding Mayflower pilgrims. So when he said that, he goes, "So what?" And I almost jumped through the ceiling and said, "What do you mean, so what?"
This was
when you're talking about, he's like 10 years old. When they're talking about the pilgrims at Thanksgiving, this is your people.
Exactly. Well, you mentioned the Gettysburg map. That's my people. The Leitner family was living in that town right about that time. So I'm very interested about that. Okay, so that brings me, I get one extra question then, which is about particularly maps. Are any of them digitized? And how about just generally touch on the topic of usage? I know people are very interested. If I get a scan or a photocopy or a digitized material, can I use this in my own family history work and publications?
Usage depends on the copyright. It's hard to tell. The copyright really needs to be researched on its own. Okay. Kathy, do you have any thoughts about that?
And particularly for the digital items they might be getting access to right now.
If you're going to make money off of it, the best thing to do is to research the copyright as much as you can. so that if it was, say, digitized by somebody, but it was really copyrighted, like say a map, by a map company, you want to make sure that you have the digital rights to put something up. Because otherwise, because of US copyright law, if you put it into a digital form, that means you are changing the form of the original. Now, some things, depending on how old they are, is how far back are you going? Something from 1772, the original map may not be copyrighted anymore because it's been that long since it's been published. But something that may have been reprinted with the permission of, say, a historical society that actually owns the copyright to that map.
That makes sense, yes.
Yeah.
Many times the information is also in the digital information, the metadata that goes along with the digital image.
Right.
So like the Internet Archive, whatever institution digitized it, many times will tell you who owns the copyright or if it's fair use as well.
Right.
Excellent.
The National Archives will do that as well, or Library of Congress. If we have a minute, Amy, do you want to tell them about Chronicling America?
Oh, yes, please.
Chronicling America is a website through the Library of Congress, and they've digitized newspapers going back to 1789 to 1963 from states, not only Pennsylvania, but all over the country. So that's one of the best places that you can check to if you're looking for an older newspaper.
So you're partnering with them through the National Endowment, and so your digitized newspapers might be ending up over at Chronicling America then.
That's correct.
There are some Pennsylvania newspapers there, yes.
Right.
Excellent.
We worked with Penn State University since between Penn State University and the State Library, we hold the largest newspaper collections for Pennsylvania, we feel, in the world.
Wow, what an amazing resource. Do you tend to partner with some of the big genealogy companies like Ancestry and MyHeritage in terms of record collections?
We tend not to, because we feel that the information should be free and available. If you go through Ancestry or newspapers.com or some other of the big companies, they want you to pay for that material. And we feel it should be free and available, just like it is at the library.
Well, that sounds wonderful to every genealogist listening. Well, an amazing collection and resource. We have lots to look forward to when it opens back up, and things we can do right now over at the website. Ladies, thank you so much for sharing the treasures there at the State Library of Pennsylvania. We appreciate it.
Okay, think of
thank you.
Amy and I as your personal librarians.
Oh, we love that.
So make sure that you send questions to us, because that's what we're here for.
Thank you for that reminder. I have been trying to encourage people. In the past, we've been shy and we just, we get used to
Don't
things
be
being
shy.
online. But you guys are an amazing resource, and you know that collection better than anybody. So perfect.
We're here to help everyone, so.
That's right.
Wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to Kathy and to Amy. Really nice gals. And they know that collection so well there at the State Library of Pennsylvania. And I wanted to take a second and kind of jump into a couple of specifics, because they talked about their love and passion for maps and other types of things. And you might be wondering, how can I find that myself? So let's jump over in to PowerPoint. And I just kind of want to show you a couple of search strategies that you could use over at the State Library of Pennsylvania to find what you're looking for. I know folks were asking about, Revolutionary War and the Mayflower information, and they've got a pretty nice search engine over there, and I've got a couple of different strategies for you to help you dig around the website. Well, they're currently closed there at the State Library. So let's talk about maps, because I know right now this month I've been teaching an online Google Earth for Genealogy course, and maps are a huge passion of mine. I have a lot of videos in premium membership. If you're a premium member, go check out the geography section of premium membership because there's a lot of great video classes in there with some downloadable handouts. Maps really give us the context of our ancestors' lives. It's almost impossible to do research if you're not really familiar with the area that you're researching. So if you head over to the State Library website, we're going to go up here remember she said under General Public, and you'll find it's Our Collections. So this is kind of a nice way to go straight to the maps versus just starting from a really general search. And we're going to come down here to Digital Collections. Okay. It's actually resources. Search Our Resources. See the different names. So we're going to get to search our resources, and I'm going to just type in the name of a town, Harrisburg, and put in the word map, just to kind of get a sense of what our results are going to look like. And they do a nice job. They put the little yellow highlights so we can kind of see why we've got these different items here. Over on the right, you're going to see filters. And it's worthwhile because when she was talking about, 35,000 maps, you're going to want to be able to filter down. So you can specify, and what I'm doing here is I am just specifying maps that are at the State Library because they are cataloging others as well. When I click to select one of them here, this is the map of Harrisburg City from 1875. This one appears to be only available at the State Library, and it's in a physical form. Let's head over here again to the filter, and we're going to do full text online because I want to see what they might have that's digitized that's online. Let's click this first one here, the Atlas of City Harrisburg, made from plans, deeds, and surveys. It's really subtle, but up in the description, right above text item call number, you're going to see online access. I wish it was a big button that kind of highlighted. So you kind of have to really look carefully. But yes, this map in the results looked very much the same like the other one. But this one, if you click through and find that link, you're going to be able to look at the map right here from the comfort of your own home, which is kind of nice. I like clicking the thumbnail button, that kind of checkerboard looking button, because that allows us to see a lot of the pages within this one map. It's basically a book of maps. And so I'm going to pick this one here. Now this one, we can look at the zooming in. This is beautiful. They've done such a nice job of really high resolution digitization. And so you are probably thinking, I would like to save this map. Okay, well, we're going to come down to the bottom right-hand corner. We're going to click the download button. It looks like the little box with the arrow going down. This is going to allow us to download it. Now, it takes a lot longer than what you just saw. So just be aware, be very patient. You'll think nothing's happening. The maps are such high resolution. It could take a minute. And in fact, once I got it to register, it took another 45 seconds for it to completely download as a PDF. So don't be impatient, my friends. It's worth it because of this high resolution. You're going to be able to bring this into Google Earth and really go and look at all the detail. And on this beautiful map, they have written in the names of the people who own these different properties. And of course, you'll want to go and find the key to the map so you can understand all the elements. You can print it. Now it's going to be pretty big. What I would do is probably bring this into a document to make sure I've got it the size that I want. We can click fit to page. So you're going to zoom in, but if you want to see the whole thing in total, the quickest way to do that is just click that little fit to page button up at the top of the page. Now, I was so happy to see people asking about source citation in the chat. We've got to cite our sources. So they have a very convenient button. Go back to the initial result and scroll down. You'll see the red Cite This. Click that and it will give you several different variations of source citations that you can use. And then it's just copy and paste. So you can go in and edit your PDF and paste it in there. You could put it in another document. I love to take these old map images and create my own overlays with them in Google Earth. That way I've got them to work with now and into the future. In this case, of course, this is a PDF, so I would convert this. I would probably either screenshot it or do something to convert it into a JPEG file. And then with that image file, I can put that in Google Earth, start plotting my ancestors and putting their houses and where they went to church and where they went to school and all that really cool stuff. In the overlay, you can then paste your source citation, and that way you always know where it came from. Now, they touched on newspapers as well. And of course, I think it was Amy that mentioned that certainly Chronicling America has a wonderful collection of newspapers. And of course, if you're not familiar with that, that is the Library of Congress website. You can go into the newspaper directory to see newspapers that are cataloged, but Chronicling America specifically gets you into the digitized images. Now, this is the best of what I understand here is that they don't have, Chronicling America, although they work with the state library, they don't have everything that the library has. So you'll want to use not only Chronicling America, and I'll have a link in the show notes for you. Look in the video description down below this video here on YouTube, or I'll have the show notes for you on my website. So you can use Chronicling America, get a ton of stuff over there, but there are a lot of newspapers, and I checked these titles. They are not on Chronicling America. So you might see some crossover, but there's going to be some unique stuff. So let's go to General Public, and we'll go to Research Guides. You could just start again with the search box. I like kind of zeroing in. This is in the genealogy area, and on Research Guides, there's a specific link for newspapers. This will also give you some nice background on, again, what do they have, how many, where are they located, and you'll find some convenient links here. So I am going to look for just above where it says the historic newspapers, there's a link, Pennsylvania Newspaper Archive. So I'm going to start there. And here we are. So you can browse by title, you can browse by date. Let's just use their drop-down menu. We'll pick a city and click search. So these are digitized. You're going to see those thumbnail images and you can click the page. Now, newspaper pages are huge, right? And when they digitize them, it gets even bigger. So we want to use the zoom key. There's a little plus sign at the top of the image of the viewer, and you can use that to zoom in and then click Clip Print Image. So you're going to want to be able to keep this for yourself, right? But I noticed the first time I did it, it wasn't really zoomed in enough. So make sure you get nice and zoomed in on the article, on the area of the page you want, because all of it is going to be part of your screen clip after you click Clip Screen. So this is nice. This is a little more zoomed in. On my PC, I just right click on it, Save Image As, and then I can save this to my hard drive. And it saves it as I believe it's a JPEG image. You'll notice also there's a link up there, that persistent link. If you were going to share this with somebody or email it to somebody, I would click that link and just make sure you're on the actual permanent link, which is unique to your clip. Okay? It's not the whole paper. It's not just that page. This link was generated by their system just for your clipping. So if you want to be able to reference this in your genealogy database or in another document, you can copy and paste this link and it's permanent to your clipping, which is kind of nice. So we can save these clippings. You know, one of my favorite things, I'll throw it into Evernote, because Evernote, particularly since I've gotten a nice big zoom in on this picture, Evernote's going to be able to do its best to OCR all the text in the image. So that means that it's going to be able to hopefully, now I see some smudgy parts on this clipping, and just be aware that anything that's using OCR can't read all the smudgy parts perfectly. Okay, so there might be a couple of words it doesn't pick up, but there's almost like a little smudge going down the middle of the article from the original page. But if I save this clip into a service like Evernote that includes OCR, and other ones do as well, then I'm going to be able to search by the words that may be appearing in this article, and I'll be able to retrieve it all the more faster. You know, if I just save this to my hard drive, my computer doesn't keyword search. So I better make sure I've got a good title on this image. Maybe I could add some metadata to it. And that's how I would be able to retrieve it. So I love being able to take it into a note-taking system where we can do that OCR application to it, which is optical character recognition. It's going to be able to read these words in your clipping. So that's newspapers. And, I was talking about doing the map overlays in Google Earth. That's something that I teach very specifically, step by step, in my book, The Genealogist Google Toolbox. And I was thinking about this as I was kind of putting this together for you today, that, another strategy out of the book that I use a lot, which I think could come in really handy with this library website, is a site search. And the reason for this is that every website has oftentimes its own search engine. And oftentimes they'll support different search operators, but it's only as good as it was programmed. They don't all operate exactly like Google does, right? So sometimes you'll be searching and you might get frustrated and think, I'm not finding what I want, or I can't filter the way I want. I can't get really specific into what I want, right? So we are going to use google.com and the site search strategy out of the book to dig specifically into the State Library of Pennsylvania website. And you could do this with any state library website, or actually most websites. Okay, so let me show you how this works. This is very slick. We're going to go up to my web browser, and I'm going to put in the State Library of Pennsylvania. Okay. Now, that's great. I can come here and click the link. That takes us over to the website. And there's a search engine. That's fine. But if I come up here and I just remove the extra stuff and just keep the address to .gov. Okay, do you see how I did that? Clean that stuff off the end and copy it. We're going to copy the home page address. Now, we're heading to Google. And I'm going to type in the surname that I'm looking for, Leitner, okay, from my family in Pennsylvania. I put a space and then I typed in the word site, SITE, colon. Now I'm going to paste that address for the state library that I copied. When we hit enter, Google was able to instantly dig all the way through that website, and it found this result where the surname Leitner was part of the text on the page. So here we are. What I've discovered is there are microfilms. So I'm going to do my Control F on my PC. I think it's Command F on a Mac. And that, excuse me, that gives us the search feature. And I'm going to type in Leitner. And I found it instantly on the page. That's a really nice, quick way when you have a nice long page like this to find whatever the word is that you were searching for. Because I could be scrolling through it, but that takes a lot of time. So let's recap. We did a site search asking Google to take the surname and go find it on pages on this particular website. Now, keep in mind, it's not going to be able to search within books. It's not going to happen. It's not going to find names on maps like the map we were looking at before. But if it turns out that just like this, there happen to be rolls of microfilm and that these are surname indexed, wow, Google got there a lot faster than I might be able to get there through using the search engine on the State Library website. So Google can search for any kind of text that appears in titles of items, on the descriptions of those items, whatever's in the catalog itself. If there's a web page, and the State Library, as many websites do, as many library websites do, have more than just a card catalog. They do have landing pages and web pages, and they're going to be listing names and historical items that you might be interested in. And so Google does a really nice job of getting there super fast. Again, when I went to the homepage, you probably noticed this before. You'll see the basic URL, and then you'll see kind of /pages, /defaults, all that extra stuff. I usually just skim that right off and just copy to the .com.gov extension. That's the address I'm going to use in my google.com search to do a site search, site : and the website. So you can learn more about that in my book. It's the Genealogist Google Toolbox, and that's just one of many kind of unique strategies and ways that you can use Google to help you get more done in even some of your favorite websites. Now I want to give you kind of a wrap up of, I touched base with Amy yesterday and just kind of checked in because I couldn't tell for sure from the website, at least some of the pages I was on, whether or not they were really open or not. Okay, so they're not currently open to the public. So here's the latest from Amy. She says that the state library is currently closed to all visitors. However, the staff is now teleworking. I believe back when we spoke in December, they weren't, or it was extremely limited. So you can send your inquiries to their email address, and I put that in the live chat, but here it is for you, and it will be in the show notes. It's ra-reflib@pa.gov. And the staff will answer questions as best as they can. So, for example, somebody was asking in the live chat, I wonder if they do interlibrary loan with Canada. That would be the perfect kind of question they could certainly answer from home. If you ask them to do a lookup for you in a roll of microfilm, they're probably not going to be able to do that for you right now because they're not physically there. But there's a lot of brain power there amongst the reference staff. So definitely get in touch with them, and they are happy to help if they possibly can. Amy also said that they're doing some renovations now during the closing. So they've started renovations in the forum building. So there might be times when they can't get to the materials. So it sounds like they might be allowing some of the staff to go in and do some things. Now here, just this week in Texas, they've lifted the mask ban. They've opened all of the businesses. So it's very possible things are going to start moving more quickly in other states. And you might find that by the time that you're watching this episode, let's hope that it's open. But there definitely have some limitations, not just because of the current closure, but also because of the renovations that are going on over there. But that's something to look forward to, see what they've got fixed up once they open up again. And about interlibrary loan, she said that interlibrary loan services are available, but the patron must check if their home library has the equipment and are open for patrons to use that equipment. So makes sense. If you're going to order some microfilm, let's make sure that you can not only use it that you can not only go to your public library, but that they have a microfilm reader and they are making them available right now. So it says here that the library still ships all over the United States. So she did specify the United States, so we'll have to check and see. My answer in the live chat regarding Canada was, one, check with your local public library to see if they have reciprocal agreements, and then, of course, email the state library and see how they can help you as well. Their address, their URL is statelibrary.pa.gov. So that is where we have been spending our time here today. And she said to watch their website because they're going to be having instructions at the top of the homepage. Boy, it's nice and big that there's a COVID alert. And I'm sure that they're going to be posting there as soon as things change or if there's some limited hours open or however they decide to do that. So when it does reopen to the public, check out statelibrary.pa.gov. So that, my friends, is the State Library of Pennsylvania. And it's a wonderful resource. I've already been finding some stuff there that I'm kind of excited about. So I hope that you will too. And remember, just like every library, every archive, my goodness, their holdings are not limited just to their location. So while certainly their strength is Pennsylvania, you're going to be finding unique materials from probably around the world. It's worth checking that website, checking their catalog, doing a little site searching, and contacting them. They're there to help. Let's see, what else is going on? Oh, okay. Well, first let me check in on chat because here at the live show, we have a busy group in chat, and they are just so awesome. I just love when I log in every day to do my live show. I can't wait to see you all, you guys. And I'm so happy that you've been enjoying this. It's definitely a site worth going to. People have been going into talking about the book. Let's see here. Good. I'm glad you liked the little site search trick. Terrific. Well, so here's my news. I've been trying to do some planning in terms of what's going to be happening in the next week or two. And here at Elevenses with Lisa, this is what we're going to be doing next week. Do you recognize it? This is from my friend, Nathan Dylan Goodwin. And he is going to be here live next week from England. And he's going to be talking about his brand new book, The Chester Creek Murders. He calls this a Venator cold case. And you know what these books are all about. Now, if you haven't checked out Nathan's books, you got to check them out because there are lots of them available. And he's got a wonderful detective that he talks about. But I think this is going a new direction. And I'm guessing we'll see some additional volumes on this direction. But they are investigative genetic genealogy mystery. Okay, at least in this case. Now, I don't think the first books were, but they are genealogy mysteries. And Nathan does a wonderful job of just weaving these stories and pulling us in. And of course, you and I can identify with so many of the techniques that his heroes use in the books. So it says here, Detective Clayton Tyler is tasked with reviewing the formidable archives of unsolved homicides in his police department vaults. And he settles on a case from 1880. Tune in next week, my friends. Episode 47 of Elevenses with Lisa. Nathan is such a doll. We got a chance to spend time together. Well, we do every year at Roots Tech when we're there in person, and we both keynoted over at the Genealogy Show conference in Birmingham, England. I think it was 2019. Oh my gosh, time flies. But he's wonderful. So I'm just so excited that we're going to get a chance to visit for the whole hour together, and it's going to be live next week. So join us, because if you have questions, if you have things you want to know about your favorite books that he's written, the live chat will be the place to post those. That's what I have for you right now, my friend. Enjoy the State Library of Pennsylvania. Use your site search trick. And when you get done watching this, before you leave here at YouTube, make sure you've clicked the subscribe button, okay? Because that puts us in your favorites list, and it gives us a lot of great oomph with YouTube so that they will suggest our videos to other genealogists, which I so appreciate. And also give it a thumbs up here under the video if you can. If you like this video, I so appreciate that as well. Check out the show notes, genealogygems.com/elevenses, because there I put all the details. And in the next day or so, I will have the complete show notes for you. And I'm going to be tucking a link directly to Nathan's book in the video description here on YouTube. So if you are anxious to get a hold of the copy of the book before we get a chance to meet here next week together, I hope that you'll use our link to do that. Have a wonderful week this week with the people that you love in your family. And I will really look forward to seeing you here next week. Thanks so much for watching, my friends. I'll talk to you soon.